Hello and welcome. My name is Ariel. This is a 20-minute gentle yoga class. You may want a handful of props to have nearby just in case. We'll start seated. You can, of course, lie down if you'd prefer, but make sure you take a moment to get comfortable, get out any wiggles calling your attention. Lower half can look however is comfortable. It does not have to be legs crossed. Resting your hands perhaps on your knees, maybe on your chest and your belly, maybe taking prayer at the heart. And the option to close your eyes. Taking these first few moments to really just start to settle in. Landing here on your mat. Maybe you're here often. Maybe this is your first time back in a while. Letting yourself settle, letting this be a different part of your day than before. When you're ready, if it's helpful, turning your focus to your breath, and begin by just noticing. Noticing where in your body do you feel your breath? What are the qualities of your breath? Is it easy? Is it slow? Maybe you naturally feel very connected to your breath, and today maybe you don't. There's no judgment, simply noticing. Taking a moment if you'd like. Everything I offer is optional, of course. So if you'd like, taking a moment to do a body scan. Again, no judgment, as best you can, no judgment, showing up exactly how you are. That's exactly how you should be. And just noting what you may find. Do you have tension anywhere? Maybe certain parts of the body feels particularly relaxed. Maybe you feel warm or cold. Just build a picture of how it is you're showing up right now. Again, knowing that whatever way in which you're showing up is perfectly acceptable. I'll give the option here. We'll do 3 big cycles of breath together. Thinking on the inhale that you're breathing in energy, warmth, perhaps anything that would support you. And on your exhale, releasing something that won't. Maybe it's particular feelings you have about your practice or what you found in your body scan. Maybe you want to just release some muscular tension. So when you're ready with me, if you'd like, inhaling. Good. 2 more times. You can create sound on the exhale if you'd like. Inhaling. Good. One more. You can also flutter the lips if you'd like. If the eyes are closed, slowly fluttering them open. Hello. We'll move through some very slow, pretty gentle stretches here. I like to shift my legs around quite a lot. I'm a very wiggly person. You certainly don't have to. If you're comfortable where you're at, stay where you're at. And again, a small note on that, stillness is never required. If you also are a wiggly person, I encourage you to wiggle along with me in any ways that you need. So just find a comfortable and supported seated position. If it's uncomfortable for you to sit like this, you're welcome to lean your back against a wall or a piece of furniture. That can be very helpful. Thinking about a nice tall spine, lots of height, maybe reaching the top of the head towards the ceiling. And from there, we'll simply drop the head off to one side. Good. And right away, let's float it back to center. We'll do the same thing on the other side. We're going to move back and forth here a few times. Take your head tilt only as far as feels comfortable. Maybe you feel a stretch, maybe not. When I start with this movement, I notice how stiff I am, how tight my neck and my shoulders feel. So I like to go slow here, and I keep my movements for me and for my body relatively small. Allow my muscles to warm up, to give lots of time for a more comfortable and wider range of motion. Lovely. Finish whatever your second side is. And this time looking over each shoulder, so turning the head to the left and to the right, coming gently through center each time. And again, you don't have to go very far. Maybe if you were to draw a line out your chin, you're nowhere near your shoulder. I'm not. These movements feel impossibly small to me today, but that's where my body's at right now. And so there's a little part of my ego, I think, that would like for these movements to be bigger, especially as I sit here and record this class for you, but this is where my body is today. So this is where I will find my practice today. Some days that's easy, some days it is an impossible task. Come back to center once you've completed your second side. We're going to move more with the torso and with the arms, so you may want a more solid seat. Perhaps if you're sitting on a pillow or a blanket, you may want to remove that. When you're ready, inhaling the arms up as far as feels comfortable. Maybe your spine gets longer with that too. And as you exhale, let's take one hand down to the floor and reach ever so slightly up and over with that opposite hand. So you're coming just barely off of your center line. Push with that bottom hand to bring yourself back up. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Really small to start. Figure out where you are. Where are you today? Maybe you're like Gumby. Are you old enough to know who Gumby is? Maybe you feel super, super flexible today. You feel great in your body. Maybe you feel like me today and you think, wow, have I never moved my body ever in my whole life? Both of those things and anywhere in between is totally fine. Try to find your comfort in that. And you may notice in my body, as I do this pose more and more, the movement gets a little bit bigger. As my muscles get a little stretched, as they get a little bit warm, I'm able to very comfortably and feels safely to me lean farther into this. So maybe that's happening with you too. And maybe not. That's okay. If not, we'll do one more. Finish up your second side if you can remember where you started with. Inhaling, taking both hands up. Nice big inhale, and as you exhale, turn to whichever side. And then whenever you stop moving, just release your hands, and we'll stay here in this one. So my chest is barely in line, not really quite at all, with my thigh. So for me, again, very small twist, but this is where my muscles start to give me a little feedback, and I feel this particularly through my back. And so for me, that's an indication that this is where my body is good today. And as you sit here, inhaling, maybe you sit a little taller with your inhale. And as you exhale, you have the option to twist deeper. Maybe that twist happens with your shoulders. Maybe it's just your neck and your head. And we'll take 2 more cycles of breath here, whatever your breathing pace is. And after your second exhale, work your way back to center, arms up overhead. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So twisting, whenever you stop moving, go ahead and just release your hands. Your hands can go anywhere. They can go on either leg. Sometimes it's helpful to cross an arm over. It gives you a little room to sort of use your arm muscles to twist yourself deeper if you'd like. My back hand is just sort of kind of resting behind me. For me, there's no weight in that hand, but you're welcome to sort of lean back into that hand. You can even put a block down behind you if you'd like. Option 2, inhale, sit a little bit taller with every inhale. Option 2, twist a little bit deeper with every exhale. Maybe if you're a wiggly type person like me, that even just the imagined inhale, sit up, exhale, twist gives me enough movement and stillness that I don't feel like, wow, I'm just sitting here and I'm so bored. Finish one more cycle of breath. Inhale, take the arms back up overhead. Lovely. You can release those hands. Maybe you want a little stretch of the shoulders, arms front and back. Maybe not. We're going to come over onto hands and knees. We'll do a little cat-cow. Depending on how your body is feeling today, any day, you may want to take a blanket, fold it up however many times you need underneath your knees to provide a little extra cushion. If your wrists are feeling a little not super awesome here, you can go up onto fists if that's more comfortable for you. But you also have the option to sort of lean back a little bit, tuck the toes maybe, and lean back so that more of your weight is in your lower half as opposed to up in your hands. Wherever you're at, check in, make sure those elbows don't lock. Toes can be tucked or untucked, whichever is more comfortable for you. As you inhale, think about taking your tailbone up to the ceiling so that your belly can drop. Push your chest ever so slightly forward, and then maybe you lift the head a little bit. As you exhale, do exactly that same chain of movements, but in the opposite direction. So now the tailbone is tucking under. You're arching your spine, pushing away with your hands so that your shoulders can retract and drop your head. Maybe you're looking straight down, maybe you're looking at your thighs, maybe you're looking at your belly. Inhale, big ol' scoop in the spine, head comes forward. Exhale, big arch in the spine, and the head drops. Go ahead and move back and forth at your own pace here, whatever pace feels good, whatever shape feels best in your body. And maybe you want to explore here a little bit. Maybe you want to lose the cat-cow and you just want to wiggle around. Maybe circles left and right, maybe leaning back and leaning forward. If you feel any impulse to take a posture in a different direction, go for it. I can't see you. I won't know what you're doing, so you don't have to follow me. We'll do just a few more here. Moving at a pace that feels good for you, knowing you can come out of this at any time. Everything I say is optional. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. It doesn't have to. Lovely. When you're ready, work yourself back to a neutral spine for just a moment before you work your way out of the pose. We'll come back to seated. We'll do just probably 2 stretches here before we finish with a little, I like to call it a mini meditation. So take the soles of your feet together. The legs will fall to the side. And if you've done this pose before, go ahead, get settled in, get comfortable. If this isn't working for you, let me talk you through some options. Sometimes having the knees just sort of float open is very uncomfortable. It just doesn't feel so great. If that's you, you don't have to push through that. You can take blocks, you can take pillows, cushions, anything you want. Add a little support. Bring the floor closer to this gap of space right here. So maybe that's blocks or pillows or something. In terms of where you can take this pose, sometimes you sit in a pose, you just sort of like set your legs right and then you're good and you can stay there. And that's perfect. If that's you, lovely. If you want a little more, a little something else, maybe you grab onto the ankles or the shins or the feet and start to work the chest a little closer to the ground. Though be mindful of really rounding your spine. Be mindful of putting too much tension in the neck and the shoulders. So maybe with a slightly straight spine. Additionally, I'm going to move these. These kind of, they bug me personally a little bit. You can also take, I like a nice giant bolster. You can use a cushion of any kind, stack it somewhere in front of you so that you have something to lean forward on. So you can make this pose a little more passive. You can have any combinations of props. You can have no props if you don't want any. Wherever you feel good. We'll stay here for, let's say, 5 more cycles of breath. Whatever that is for you. Go ahead and count your cycles of breath on your 5th. Work yourself back up to seated. Allowing any wiggles, any shifts, any changes. You're not married to the pose in whatever way you start it. You can change it at any time for any reason. Nice and easy. Maybe you're walking your hands back to yourself to lift the chest up. You can always give yourself extra support in that way. We'll do one final pose here. We'll do straddle. So taking the legs as wide as is comfortable. Again, some days maybe you want to be much closer. That should take some of the strain out of the pose. If you want a little more intensity in your muscles, probably opening the legs wider will help. If you're somebody who is hypermobile, maybe you put a little cushion or something under. I'll show you with my rolled up strap here to just take it underneath the knee so that you don't allow your leg to hyperextend in this pose, because that can put a lot of pressure on the joints. Maybe your hands are behind you to lift the chest, and that feels like enough of a stretch. Maybe hands in front of you, starting to work your chest down to the ground. Same idea as before. You can grab a prop of any kind to lean forward on, to use for support. This is hilariously tight for me today. This feels extremely uncomfortable. So I'm going to go real passive and ignore my ego that says I should not be doing this. Bring my legs in a little bit, and I'm going to create a really, really tall area for me to rest my head on. So for me, I feel maybe like a 20% stretch through my inner legs here in the straddle. And I think for today, for a little gentle yoga, 20% feels really lovely. This is where I would like to stay. So you can, of course, you should play around, find where you want to be today. Is it different than the last time you practiced? It doesn't have to be. It could be. Maybe that's just an interesting thing to note. Maybe you check in on the angle of your feet. So are you noticing that your legs are very turned out? Do you notice that your legs, maybe they're very turned in? Maybe they're somewhere in the middle? It's sort of an interesting thing to notice. Taking just a few more breaths here. Ever so gently, when you're ready, start to work yourself up. Move your props out of the way, and we'll do about a minute of, like I said, a mini meditation. You can come to seated if you'd like with any props you want. You're welcome to lay down. That is, I think, a more comfortable way to finish, but I will sit up to hold space for you. If you want to lay down, please take your time. Get settled, get any props, pillows, blankets, anything you need. Maybe if you're seated, hands are resting in your lap, on your thighs, on your chest, on your hands. Hands in prayer. Taking a moment to settle, perhaps closing the eyes. And just like we started, take a moment to check in on your breath. Where is it? Where do you notice it? What are the qualities of your breath? And is it any different than before? No judgment, just curiosity, just notice. Perhaps taking a moment to check in with the physical body again. Maybe something like a body scan, maybe just a quick search for input. And if you notice nothing, that's something to notice. Do you feel any differently than when we began? And if so, in what ways? Ever so slowly, let your senses begin to open up, noticing any sounds around you. Maybe starting to wiggle the fingers and wiggle the toes to bring a little movement back into the body before very gently, very slowly opening the eyes. If you're laying down, perhaps roll off to one side. Take a moment there before you work yourself up to seated. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. I hope you enjoyed our quick little gentle yoga practice, and I hopefully will see you again soon for another practice. Take care.